Welcome back to Dog Style Fishing's Guide to Sea Fishing Rigs. In today's video we're going to be learning how to side the running ledger rig. So in my hands I've got a very short mock-up version of the rig just to show you what it looks like. We're just going to go through the components on this shortened down version just to make it a bit easier. So at the top we have a large casting swivel. This is tied on to some 60-pound main line. Now on this main line we have a couple of beads and in the middle a weight clip, and that's just free running on the main line there. Yeah. Beyond that we have a slightly smaller swivel, still quite chunky but not as chunky as the top casting one. Beyond there we have the snood line, so this is 15-pound and that's just coming down to a size 7/0 hook. Depending on how you're fishing or what you're fishing for, you might make this rig slightly differently. You might make bits of it slightly longer, use a different size hook. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the different situations where you could use this rig. So this rig is brilliant off the shoreline, off a pier or a boat. And as I said, yeah, just depending on how you're fishing or what you're fishing for, you're just going to knock it up ever so slightly differently. But today we're going to be making a shore version. And I'll talk a little bit more later about what differences you make if you're going to fish from a boat or a pier. Anyway, let's begin. So the first thing we need to do is measure out 120 centimeters of this 60-pound main line, which I've already done here. So by the time we've cut the tag ends off, we should end up with about 110 centimeter long rig body. And the first thing we need to do is take our large casting swivel and tie this onto one end. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we've got to moisten the line. Slide that one down and put it tight. So we'll just take the tag end off now. There we go, that's the first thing that we need to do. Now the next thing, we need to go down to the other end and we need to slide on the beads and the weight clip. So I'm going to start with this little bead here and we'll slide that on down. The next thing we're going to need is the weight clip, and we're going to thread it through on this eyelet end up the top here. And then we just need to sandwich it off with another bead. Now we're using a bead either side of the free running weight clip because, as you can imagine, once the weight's on there, it's quite heavy. As it's sliding up and down the line, as it hits into the knots, it might do damage. So we use a little plastic fishing bead just as a little buffer. So now what we need to do is close off the other end of this main rig body. So we're going to get a slightly smaller swivel and tie that one. Just like before, just do whichever knot you're best at as long as it's strong. Hold it semi-tight. Now we're just going to moisten it again. Make sure we don't get no friction burn in the line. Right, got that nicely pulled tight. Little tug on the tag end. And we're going to get that tag end removed. There we go. Okay guys, we've nearly completed the rig already. All we need to do now is add on a snood line to the smaller swivel and a hook. So, oh, drop the rig. So I'm making this rig to use on the shoreline, and I'm going to make it to use to fish close in for bass. So I'm going to use 15-pound line. Just try and make it a little bit more invisible for the fish. Hopefully get more takes. I'm going to measure out about 4 foot of this line, or I'm just going to estimate it out really. So say that's about a foot there, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot. So yeah, if I'm fishing off the shoreline for bass, I generally like a 4 foot snood. If I'm going to use this rig off of a pier or a boat, I'll use 6 foot snoods and above. Quite long. So I'm just going to get this tied on, and we'll talk a bit more about that. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So yeah, especially off a pier, the only difference that I'd really make is making a longer snood, and you might want to use some heavier line depending on what you're fishing for and how big the tide run is off your local pier or the pier that you're fishing on. So there we go, we've got that tied on one end to the smaller swivel, and down this end all we need to do is add a hook. So I'm going to grab this what I'm using today, some 7.0 WSB tackle hooks. And I'll get this hook just tied onto the end. And 4. There we go, all we've got to do is clip this tag end. And there we go, we have a completed rig. So if we just clip a weight onto this end. There we go. This rig is ready to fish with, so that's the top. About 110 centimetres after we finish clipping off the tag ends of main rig body. Sliding on the rig body. A couple beads and a weight clip and a weight. And we've got a smaller swivel. 4 foot of snood. And coming down to our hook here. How simple was that? Don't need too many components, only took a few minutes to knock together. As I said, it's quite a versatile rig. This can be used from the shore, the boat or the pier. So I was talking from the pier, you might want to use even longer snood lines and maybe up the poundage from 15 pound. Depending on what you're fishing for, you might want to use 25 pound or 30 pound just for like medium sized fish. I've used up to 150 pound when fishing for congers off a pier as a snood line. On a boat, I'll just talk about this quickly. This contraption here is called a boom. So you can see it's got the weight clip down there. What you do is you would have run your main line through this boom instead of using the bead and the weight clip, and fish with it like that off the boat. Often on the boat you wouldn't even have this in place, you would just have the main line coming off your reel going straight through this, but it basically ends up making the same rig. Yeah, have fun, experiment with it, and try use it in different situations and see how you get on. And do let us know if you catch any nice fish with it. If you found today's video useful and interesting, please hit that subscribe button and keep your eyes open for episode 4 of the Dog Style Fishing's Guide to Sea Fishing Rigs, where we're going to be learning how to tie the pulley rig / pulley pen rig.